Hello there, YouTube. My name is Victor. Welcome to Give Me a Flake Man, window into the Japanese culture. Today we're talking about disaster divorces. That is what is occupying the talking heads on the TV channels here in Japan today. They call it Shinsai Rikon. And I'll give you a quick summary of what happened. If you don't know, where the hell have you been? How could you not know? Japan has suffered a triple disaster in the last few months. They had the earthquake, the tsunami, and now the nuclear power plant problems they've been having. On top of that, of course, problems with electricity, and they were shutting down other plants all over the country. But something that is an indirect result, I suppose you would say indirect result of this, is something called disaster divorces. And a lot of people have discovered that the person they were married with is really not the person they want to be with anymore as a result of this disaster. Because the male or the female, the spouse in the relationship, acted in a way that they just thought was horrible. And they interviewed, it was pretty impressive. They were interviewing people on the street, and they had people complaining about not all of them got divorced, but they said, you know, tell us about anything that happened during the earthquake and how your husband or wife reacted that annoyed you. And some of the interviews were, some of the interviewees said things like, well, my husband went back to take care of his parents, and he didn't come back for me, and I kept emailing him and calling him to say come back, but he wouldn't because he was afraid about his parents' situation, and I just realized that his parents are more important than me, so I'm going to get a divorce, or I got a divorce. Another one was just a complaint, not a divorce. The woman told the reporter that when the radiation threats became dangerous in Tokyo, about a month back, she urged him to go buy some water, and he was like, no big deal, don't worry about it. And she was really annoyed at the fact that she didn't take it seriously, the danger that, you know, they might not have any drinking water. He didn't, you know, jump up on his feet and run. Here's an interesting one. Because of the food shortages, a woman lined up, waited for, I believe it was 3 hours to buy cup ramen, cup of noodle canisters. And in the end, they're a family of 5, but she could only buy 4. So they had to ration. And she wrote notes on the noodles and put them in the cupboard. And then she came out, you know, she was in the bedroom. She came out to see her husband eating one. And he just ignored the rules of the family that she had set up. And he just did whatever he wanted because he was hungry, right? They interviewed a Japanese woman married to a Japanese gaijin guy and the daughter. And I was surprised because the daughter had a heavy accent, but she looked half. And the husband wasn't there, but she said that that as a result of the this is probably more related to mixed couples, but the foreign father wanted to leave. He wanted to run away immediately, and the mother didn't, and so they had a lot of fights over that. But apparently everything's okay now. I did see another situation in which a Japanese couple had the wife wanting to run away immediately as soon as she heard about possible nuclear power plant problems, but the husband insisting on staying, and they realized that they had different priorities. So they mostly interviewed women complaining. There were a few men complaining as well. Let's see. There was and then they went back 16 years to the Kobe earthquake and talked about some of the situations there. So I guess this kind of thing happens all the time, you know. During the Kobe earthquake, a woman realized quite quickly during the disaster that her husband shared different priorities, or they did not share the same priorities. So 51 days later, they got divorced. They didn't show her on camera. A lot of Japanese interviews are just the neck down. They don't show your face, and they sometimes contort your voice. I think it kind of adds to the allure, like, ooh, this is like a spy we're interviewing, but it's just a normal person. I did want to point out that if you probably know this, that when a couple has a child and the child dies, often that couple cannot survive the disaster. So things like this tear a family apart, and it's happening right now in Japan. Yeah, so I don't know if anyone knows of any situations or anything like this happening in other parts of the world, but if you do, I'd be interested in hearing about it. And that's just about it. I do want to point out one thing. I used to be engaged many years ago to an Argentinian woman in Argentina, and then she came back with me to the States. And although I thought at the time that our relationship was very strong, it could not survive the change of environment, and we eventually broke up, which is all for the best. She's very happy now, and I'm very happy now. So we actually talked a little bit on Facebook about a month ago. So, but that reminds me of another situation, showing you the importance of environment. When I was at NYU, we studied this case about mice. Now, this is pretty interesting. Check this out. Okay, they got a bunch of mice, and they gave them cocaine every day, right? In the same room, they gave them cocaine every day. I don't know, for weeks until they were addicted, right? And the same amount of cocaine every single day, and the same room. The room was like white or something. I don't know. But then one day, they changed the color of the wallpaper. They just changed the color of the room, made it different, gave them the same amount of cocaine. The mice OD'd. So, the point being that some people do better in of course that's mice, but people, I'm sure, up to an extent, do better in certain situations, certain conditions. You will perform better, and that's what they call, I guess, the home game. Home advantage? Home game advantage? It's a home game. What is that called? Home advantage. The advantage of playing in your environment. You're going to do better in that environment. So, things to think about. But anyway, that's what's occupying the news here in Japan today. I thought you'd be interested in knowing. Let me know what you think about this kind of video. I'll just unedited, straight uploads and telling you what's happening in Japan on TV.